So next one on the list, Ethereum. So Ethereum is the second largest crypto, second largest, most known crypto as well, developed by this little kid in 2013. So Vitalik Buterin was actually, I think, 19 when he launched it. So, let that sink in for a bit. Make sure to follow him and, look at some of his documentaries and, just enjoy his really nice wardrobe, if I can say. But, very liked guy, very smart, very straightforward, and he's all about the tech. What he came out with is a way for people to launch their own cryptocurrencies on top of Ethereum's existing blockchain. So if I want to launch my own crypto, let's say I want to run a MTG coin, well, I would have to have my own blockchain, have miners mining, enough of them that, there is no issues with having somebody who has more than 51% of the hash power, of the mining power, who's malicious. So it's a lot of work. Who's going to come mine my coin? Who knows about my coin? So basically what he did is a way for people to use his blockchain to run their coins. So you can use Ethereum to launch your own cryptocurrency on the Ethereum's existing blockchain, and then pay for all of this through Ether, which is Ethereum's coin. So basically, it's a platform. Ethereum is a platform. It enables users to create their own cryptos and run it on the Ethereum blockchain. So it allows developers to create decentralized applications. So you want to create an application, again, for example, like that Uber or taxi coin, you can create it on top of the Ethereum blockchain. And that's super easy. The code is there for you. It's very easy to do, and you can launch it, and it's running right away, right? You don't have to, come up with miners and give them this and that and make sure to have a blockchain and that it's always running. Everything is there. So to do that, it enables smart contracts. So smart contracts is basically a contract, right, that's on the blockchain. It's like an executable file, right? It's a piece of code that's on the blockchain. Example, let's say I want to have a cryptocurrency, a coin, that lets people use free space on computers and pay for it when they use it. So if you want to use some space, you want to save some files, instead of paying Google or whichever company, you can use spaces on other people's computers, fully encrypted and whatnot, but you can use their space. Now, once you use their space, you have to pay them for that space after whatever, let's say every day. So how can we make this work in a cryptocurrency? Well, what we do is we put a contract, and this contract says when I use 1 gigabyte of storage for 1 day, the person who used it has to pay the person who gave them that space. This could be an executable file, a piece of code written in code, right? If space used over this for this, send money from here to there. This executable file is what we call a smart contract. It's there and it's on the blockchain. Nobody can change it, nobody can alter it, and we know it works. So it stays there. And then if somebody uses that coin and decides to use an application to save some of his files on somebody else's computer, well, after 1 day, the blockchain itself runs the code and says, okay, well, after 1 day, I have to pay him this amount of tokens. So it takes out the money from you or the coins from you and gives it to that person. All done, with no central authority. There's no company that's doing it. It's done on the blockchain. It's executed by itself. And that permits us to do a bunch of different things. It permits us to run full application in a decentralized manner with no central authority doing anything and with all the rules being there. If you want to do a GoFundMe campaign to raise capital, where instead of going through any of these websites where the website takes a big chunk of the funds that you get, just because they're managing the deal where they're saying, if we get this amount of money, we give it to the person. If we don't get, we give it back. Well, this could be written in a smart contract. If all the funds are sent to this address, then we give it. If not, we send it back. And that's, we know that there's not going to be anything that's fishy going on. The code is there. We trust it. And, Ethereum is enabling smart contracts, so you can run full decentralized application through their coin. So that enables creation of tokens. So tokens are basically a crypto that's running on top of another coin. They don't actually have their own blockchain. So if we go back here on CoinMarketCap, and if we click on Ethereum, you can see that Ethereum is a coin and is mineable as well. So it's proof of work. But some other coins might not be the same. Let's just click on one. Well, this one, no, they have their own, but probably if we click on something that's down the list, like Kin, I don't know what they do, but it's a token, meaning it's running on top of another crypto, right? They don't have their own blockchain. It's fast-ish, takes about 15 seconds block time, so way faster than Bitcoin, which is 10 minutes block time. 15-second block time, few blocks, and you have your coins, right? So the protocol, it's ERC20. It's a token standard. Basically, they have the standard where if you want to launch your own crypto, it has to follow these set rules, these guidelines. So that's pretty good because then you have a set of rules that everybody's following, and it's just easy for tokens to launch through their ICO, right? So if the token is compliant with their ERC20 guidelines, they can launch their token, and that's pretty much it. 15-second block time, like we said. Wallets so if you have a wallet, which we're going to get into that in the next section, where we create our wallets and transfer coins from one wallet to the other to exchanges. When you have a wallet, basically you have your private key. Well, basically that private key will let you access or use all of the ERC20 tokens because they're running on that same blockchain, right? So that's something that's pretty nice. Now, cons for Ethereum is that there's a lot of competition. EOS is one of them, and EOS, when it came out, everybody started calling it the Ethereum killer because it was doing the same things but had some improvements, but had also some negative points as well, which we'll talk to when we talk about it. Neo, which is known as the Chinese Ethereum, hasn't had as much success as Ethereum though, but there is competition and there's a few more, right? So that's one of the cons. But to be honest, Ethereum has been doing the best job as of now. Now, another con is that the network is unable to handle large applications. So we've seen this in early 2018 when there was this new token that was called CryptoKitties. And basically this application permitted you to buy and sell kitties, fictitious kitties online. And it was all the hype. Everybody was using it. I have no idea why. So everybody was, buying these kitties and growing them and selling them. And some kitties cost, hundreds, thousands of dollars. Pretty ridiculous. But since everybody was using it and it's a decentralized app, it actually started slowing down the whole Ethereum ecosystem, right? So, and here I just put a news on it. CryptoKitties craze slows down transaction on Ethereum. So just one thing, one decentralized app slowed down the whole Ethereum network, right? A new craze of virtual kittens is slowing down trade in one of the largest cryptocurrencies. So that just gives you an idea of where we're at with cryptos. It's not a bad thing because nobody ever said that Ethereum is at its final stages. It's not. We're still at proof of concept. We're still early on where they're still unable to implement a fully decentralized app, right? That's big, that's used by a lot of people. But that's not a problem. As an investor, we're okay with that because when we want to invest in something, we're not investing in something that's already ready or that's at its best. Because if we invest at it when it's at its best, its price is already high. We want to invest in things that are not there yet because we expect them to get there. And when they get there, they're going to be valued so much more. We're going to be talking about investments later. I don't want to go ahead of ourselves because now we're just talking about the coin itself. But I just want you to understand that it's not a problem that it's not there yet, as long as we know it will get there, right? And none of these coins are really there yet. But that's perfect. We don't want them to be there yet, again, because we're investors, right? It's the same thing as saying, do you want to invest in Google now? Or Apple, Or would you have liked to invested in Apple before they came out with their first iPad or iPhone or whatever was their first MP3 player? If you invested there at that time before they came out with this new tech, or before they were selling and they already had all the market cap, well, you would made a shitload of money. But if you buy now, they're already valued at such a high price. Same thing there. It's not there yet, but you can just imagine when there are these decentralized apps that are running on it that have real uses and consume Ether to run under blockchain. So there's an actual demand for that currency. Well, you can imagine what the value of Ethereum could be at, right? And this is why some of these currencies that are actually platforms where you have other currencies that are layered on top of them could be a really good investment, because you don't know which token in this situation will be good, but if it's running on this blockchain, it will benefit this coin specifically.